Hello students, I hope you all are doing really great in your quarantine time. So be at home and be safe. Remember students, if you're not coming out of this quarantine time with new set of skills, new knowledge and the new side of the hustle, then you never lagged time, you always lack discipline. So it is the right time for all of you to work on your hidden talents and find your true potential. As your teachers, we also have worked on certain methodologies to teach you and to reach you. In this video, we'll be going through the next poem of a syllabus, which is called as Keeping Quiet. Let us now shift to our presentation. In this poem, Keeping Quiet, which is written by Pablo Neruda, the poet discusses the need of maintaining peace and silence. He stresses upon being quiet and harmless to the human beings, to the animals, and to the environment. He suggests that in order to maintain peace and harmony, it is required to stop and introspect ourselves. When I say introspect ourselves, I mean to say that the poet is emphasizing on examining one's own thoughts and feelings, on examining our own actions before we perform it. Let us now shift to the description about the poet Pablo Neruda. So Pablo Neruda is a formidable Chilean poet. When I say formidable, it means respect through being impressively capable or respect through being impressively powerful. So Pablo Neruda was a formidable Chilean poet. Chilean poet means Chilean are the people of Chile, which is a South American country where Spanish is spoken. So this poet actively influenced the time he was living in through his powerful verses. He had a massive impact in Latin American history, and he was a deeply sensitive poet with a great faculty, with a great aptitude, with great abilities, and he was a genius for sensory language. Neruda has covered great number of themes ranging from romance to revolution. Some of his most celebrated works are 20 Love Poems and A Song of Despair. Machu means, Machu is the word which means old or ancient, and Picchu means mountains. So this is also one of his work. Canto General, Extravaganza. Extravaganza is the book in which this poem Keeping Quiet was published. Then to name some other works, 100 Love Sonnets and Residence on Earth are some of his works. He also served as the Chilean diplomat, a representative to a number of countries including Spain, Mexico and France. Neruda isn't just a deeply personal poet, but he is also vehemently political in his poetry. Any attempt to divorce his poetry from his political and the communist ideology is neither necessary nor desirable. Through this sentence, I mean that no matter how hard you try, you will never be able to separate his poetry from his political views and his communist ideologies. Championing the cause of workers and standing for social justice, Neruda actively opposed the exploitative practices of big businessmen, and a glimpse of this can be seen in the poem which we are going through right now, named as Keeping Quiet. His vital role in Chilean politics of his time can be gauged by the fact that he was on the verge of becoming the Chilean president before he withdrew his nomination in favor of one of the socialist candidates who was named as Salvador advisor. His open opposition and the fact that his funeral served as the first major public resistance to the dictatorship speaks volumes on the political power of his poetry. Neruda died due to prostate cancer. However, as I have mentioned earlier, it has been speculated that he might have been imprisoned by the Pinochet regime, whom he vehemently opposed. So this is all about Pablo Neruda. There is one peculiar thing you all must have noticed about this slide. What is that? I have only used green color in this slide while writing. There is a reason behind it. What is that reason? Please think about it. I'll just give you a second. I'll tell you the only green color while making this slide. Neruda always used green ink. He always wrote in green ink, which was his personal symbol for desire and hope. Now we are going to move towards the central idea of keeping quiet. In this poem, introspective quietness is the crux, and the whole poem, Keeping Quiet, revolves around this introspective quietness, which means that you should spare some time out of your busy life to be quiet. Do not utter any word. Just sit silent for some moments and introspect yourselves. Try to understand what you're doing and why you're doing, what consequences your actions will lead to. This is what is introspection. The poet implies in the course of the poem that the reason why there is a lack of peace and contentment in the world, both personal and societal, is that people have been so busy in mindless action that they fail to stop and take stock of what they are doing. Once people just halt their daily grind and begin to really weigh the pros and cons of their actions and undertake a path of self-discovery, there will be no problems in the world. Wars will cease and people will begin to stop hurting each other, because the moment of complete tranquility, in the moment of complete peaceful silence, people will rise above their petty selfish needs and unite on a plane of humanity and brotherhood. Neruda believes that the soul housed within the human body is capable of performing this feat if given a chance to shine out through introspection, for which absolute silence and stillness is very much essential. History bears testimony to the fact. It means that history has given us proofs to the fact that meditative reflection has changed many lives. Great historical figures like Gautam Buddha and Ashoka gave up riches and warfare once they discovered through introspection and meditation that the self can never be fulfilled through power and riches. Which means that even these great people, Gautam Buddha and Ashoka, they realized after attaining everything in life that power is nothing, that wealth is nothing. You can only achieve everything once you introspect yourself. You will never be content when you're gaining power and riches. You will never be satisfied. You will only be satisfied if you discover your own self, your true self. It is always spiritualism. It is always spiritualism which completes a human being. Neruda encourages his readers to also work towards the level of self-actualization. By this, Neruda is trying to say that you should understand the kind of person you are, what you want in life, what you demand in life. Let us now move towards the theme of the poem. There are various themes as highlighted in the slide of this poem, Keeping Quiet. Let us see what are these themes. In this deceptively simple poem, the poet has emphasized the need to introspect and bring in the spirit of brotherhood among the people of the world. The very first theme of this poem So the very first theme of this poem that the poet has emphasized is the need to introspect and bring in the spirit of brotherhood among the people of the world. Let us discuss the first theme, which is silence and stillness, as mentioned. You can see over here, silence and stillness is the first theme in the slide. Neruda is all for silence and stillness in keeping quiet. It is also the central theme of the poem, and according to the poet, adopting silence and stillness in our life, even if it is for just a while, is very essential, as it will help us reflect on ourselves and the world outside. Doing this will put us on a meaningful track in life. First, on an individual plane, where we'll be correcting ourselves individually and we'll be choosing a right path for our own self. And then on a larger societal plane, where we'll be able to bring a right change in the society and thus the complete world. Once we start working towards self-actualization, our focus will shift from external things to our internal being. We'll start doing things which are no more materialistic now. We'll start focusing on our inner self. We'll start focusing on the emotions and our deeds. As a result, there will be peace and harmony among the individuals and the nations. However, for this to happen, it is essential that the silence and stillness which the poet recommends is not mistaken for absolute inactivity. If the poet says that he wants some moment of silence and stillness, he doesn't mean that you should not do anything in these moments. It is calm and rest to be accompanied by deep meditation. He wants you to be quiet for some moment, to stop all your activities and just meditate on your inner self. This brings us the second theme of the poem, which is introspection. It is only through introspection and reflection that we can attain the perfect utopian, which means we can attain the perfect situation, the perfect world, the ultimate, the ideal, the supreme. The theme is of the brotherhood, which is an important theme of the poem, to which the theme of anti-violence is also linked. Neruda has showcased an anti-war attitude in the poem and has branded war as meaningless, since it brings the illusion of victory at the very heavy price of human lives. By this I mean to say that the poet is emphasizing on the fact that people think that you win the war, but war is never won. It is just an illusion. The victory that we achieve in case of war is an illusion, because you cannot achieve a victory by sacrificing a human life. And in war, there are many human lives which are lost. So it is definitely not a victory for any of the side. No one really benefits from the war. Instead, one brother turns against the another. Neruda wishes for people across the world to unite together in their moment of silence and stillness. He hopes that doing so will make humans aware of the values of brotherhood and their religion of humanity. A disapproving attitude towards utilitarianism is another important theme. If you can see the one with the red color, disapproving attitude towards utilitarianism, which means that something which is related to your own utility, this attitude should be disapproved. Neruda speaks against a very materialistic approach towards life. According to him, life is about a lot more than achieving is a certain checklist of goals, because life is lot more about just achieving a checklist of goals. Might be you have made a checklist that before your death you need to achieve this. It might be a good career, it might be a job in a reputed firm, it might be a handsome salary, a house of your own, a luxurious car, or any other. One can only have a successful life by really understanding oneself, away from the rat race which we usually attach to our existence. The theme of rejuvenation has also been touched upon in this poem. What is rejuvenation? Getting re-energized again. The poet says that the phase of stillness which we want, the phase of stillness which the poet wants for you all, which the poet wants for his readers to undergo, should not be mistaken as death. If the poet wants you all to be complete silent, it does not mean death. Just as spring takes away all the dormancy of winter, the phase of keeping quiet will also be followed by a burst of meaningful philanthropic activity. It will bring a new change in your life. You will feel yourself completely re-energized and you will be able to look at the life with a totally different meaning. Let us now move towards the tone of the poem. The tone of the poem is very calm all throughout, because the poet is urging his readers to stay silent, and still he himself adopts a very tranquil, which means he adopts a very relaxing, very quiet, serene tone to set the mood of the poem. Although the topic being addressed by the poet is a very pressing one, he is actually emphasizing on a very important topic. He goes on about this topic in the most composed way possible. The poet ruminates over problems pertaining to humans individually and collectively, highlights the problem world, and he says that the solution to all these problems that human beings are facing in this world is only one, which is self-actualization, and this self-actualization can be attained through meditation. By meditation, the poet wants to say that for what you do, you should not be a part of race, you should not follow anyone blindly. You should sit for some moment and think what you are doing, whether you want to do it or you don't want to do it. What is your choice? This is very important for you. Are your actions hurting others? That is also an important thing these days. People are ready to benefit themselves on the cost of someone else's sadness, on the cost of someone else's loss, which is not the right thing, because life is all about karma. Whatever you do comes back to you. So self-actualization can only be achieved through meditation. By meditation, the poet means to say you should first think about your actions before acting upon it. Thank you so much, students. This was all about the introductory part of the poem. In the next video, we will be going through the explanation and the analysis of the poem line by line. Thank you so much. Have a great